These sample programs actually are more applicable to the next chapter, to be honest with you. So let's hold these in abeyance until then, and let's go beyond this right now. These will be relevant to your exercise between week 2 and 3. So let's come back to this next week. I'll have them in the slides. Okay, so here, excuse me a second. Assignment 1, okay, exercise 1 would be a better label, and that's what you'll see in subsequent weeks. Why do I have a picture of John Wayne throwing some disadvantaged, unfortunate youth into a river? Anybody got an idea?
Because that's how you do coding and math. And
yeah, exactly.
You just throw.
Yeah. The only way to learn how to swim is to have some older relative throw you in a big body of water and hope you don't drown. Same with the only way you learn how to program is by doing it. I can show you all this stuff, and we can read a book and watch a video, but at the end of the day, the more you make mistakes by trying things, the faster you're going to learn. Okay, so there's lots of opportunities in Python for sure, and you'll learn a lot more on the job, but hopefully you'll pick up some basic skills if that's your intent of taking this. You will learn it a lot faster by doing it. Okay, so generally, when I present exercises, I give you a little description like this one. And again, it's really just looking at basic input and output. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think you can create this entire exercise just using those two functions, input and print. And the idea of this is simply to master the rudiments of soliciting and obtaining input from the user and having those values stored at some location, looks like a variable, and then parroting it back as output and formatting the output a little bit in really simple ways. Okay, so this program, I give you this little description. Any program that you ever encounter, there will be an almost unlimited number of ways that you can do it. My advice here, I got some tips. You need to know how to use input and print. Keep it simple. Okay, build your program incrementally. Get the banner, we'll look at the banner in a second, get that to work, save the program, run it, make sure it prints the banner. Then add the capability to ask the user their name. Just that. Save it under a different name. Every time you add something onto your program, change the name of it. Version 1, version 2, version 3. And this may seem like overkill, especially at this point, but if you get to a point where it doesn't work all of a sudden, you can always roll back to the previous version that did work. So you don't have to start over. The way not to do this is to slop all the lines of code on there at once, and then throw a Hail Mary and push F5 and watch all these errors. You won't even see all the errors. It'll just stop at the first one. Okay, so that's not a good approach. What you want to do is get it working slowly and simply at a time. Okay, so I give you a description of what the program uses and what it should do, and then I usually give you requirements, a list of requirements. And the list of requirements really is a good way to actually approach the exercise. Make sure the first requirement works. Put in a shebang line, save the file, run it. You won't see anything, but you won't get an error if you did it right. Here's the shebang line. Okay, you should put this in all of your programs. Okay, then the second thing, print a banner. It can be any banner. It doesn't have to be hyphens, but you can be creative there. Across the top, and you're going to also use the same banner at the bottom. Okay, then ask the user to enter his, her name. Okay, then display the user's name, as in these sample runs that I'll show you. Then ask the user for the day of the month of the year, and the year itself. Then you have to present that date information back, but in a certain format, very simple format. And then after it does all these things, should print this closing thank you message along with the user's inputted name, to be followed by the same banner at the top of it. So what does all that mean? Well, it means here's a sample output. So I give you sample output. The blue is this is what you should see when you actually execute your source file. So you're going to execute your source file, and in the interactive shell, it's going to print the banner. It's going to print this blue stuff. Okay. The first thing it'll print is please input your name. Then the black is what the user enters in. Okay. So you're going to enter in. Rod Taylor was a famous English actor, in case you didn't know, who was the star of The Time Machine, and he was in The Birds and some other films. Prints all the blue stuff. Then it gets down here and it says input today's day of month, and the black is what the user types in. June, and then the month, day of the month, name of the month, current year. And this is just you're reformatting a little bit. Notice there's no comma. I didn't ask you to put in commas. I should have, or do anything fancy, but these will be 3 separate variables, right? You're going to use probably one print statement, certainly one print statement to do this. And then it runs all of this. Okay. So, and of course your program should accept alternative input. So if you ran it again, if Barack Obama ran it, you would see this, right? And this was near the day this was at the beginning of his term, I guess. Okay, so again, really pretty simple. You don't need to use int or float, but it'll get your feet wet. Okay, so that's that. We got a couple of minutes. Are there any questions? What else can I tell you? Oh, okay, let's go back and look at those programs. If there are no questions, let me. I think we may have looked at one already. We don't have time to really go through them in detail, but let's see. Okay, test scores. We did look at that actually. Here, let's look at this one, MPG. We'll get into this more. This will be your second exercise, which will be more complex than this first exercise will be derived from this. Okay, so here, let's take a look at this. MPG, and you've got this. Actually, you've got quite a few day one programs. Okay, so there's a bunch that we didn't look at. Let's look at this first. This is kind of cool. We saw future value, the console program. Okay, this is future value GUI. Let's get into test scores next week because it's related to that. It's related to that exercise. Notice here, so let's open this. This is future value GUI. Let's also open up just plain old future value. This one. Okay, let's run the regular version, run module. And we did this, right? We said monthly investment 150, yearly investment rate 10, number of years 5, and it gives you the future value. And we'll say, you want to continue? Say no. Let's go over here. And if we look at that program again, get rid of all this stuff. Look at the program, it's pretty concise. It's short. Okay, you can see the whole thing on this one slide, right? Now, if we look at the other one, we look at future value GUI. What future value GUI does, it basically has the same logic, but it puts it in a graphical user interface. It makes it look kind of cool. Let's run it real quick. So I say run future value GUI. Notice we get this little pop-up window, self-contained, and it does the same thing. So I say future and value is 150. Got to move the cursor manually. Say interest rate is 10, years is 5, and then we calculate. This is really fancy. So we've got buttons, calculate, and we get the same answer, right? 11,712.36. But when we poke around under the hood, the GUI-based program, which is importing all kinds of graphical user stuff from tkinter, which is very similar in language to the GUI packages, GUI libraries in R. You have tkinter GUI packages in R that enable you to do the same thing, to build a program that runs inside of a window, inside of a graphical interface. But notice how much longer it is. Okay. Same logic. It's just doing the same things, but because it's creating all of these objects, these classes and objects, the main window is a certain class. Each button is a certain class. The little pop-up places where you put in values are classes and objects. And in order to manipulate them, you've got to use all these methods that are part of TTK. This stuff it would be really cool and really interesting to learn, especially if you wanted to make apps that people would use, right? If you're trying to, whether you give them away or you whatever you want them to be used and popular, people don't want to call up idle and run things in the interactive shell. They want a little standalone app that will run on their desktop. It's cool, right? It's sexy. But in order to do that, you've got to get better at coding.